but hey, it's not like I haven't been through this before. Sarah is my colleague. I am Steve Cambron. As I said there just a minute ago, I work with the Division of Substance Misuse, and formerly that was part of the Division for Behavioral Health. Sarah she is a certified prevention specialist, and she works in the Regional Prevention Center network that was referenced earlier and that I talked about. And I just want to talk to you today about this initiative we're working on with Steve and Ashley called the Purple Star Program. But before I do that, I just want to say how great it is. This is my first KSPAN meeting. To be in a room where people are talking about mold and traffic safety and traumatic brain injury. And I don't know a lot about any of that stuff, but what I get is the message of prevention. And so that is it's great that we are all speaking the same language. And so this Purple Star initiative that I'm going to tell you about grew out of a federal SAMHSA grant, which was a substance abuse prevention started out grant that's focused mainly on opioids. And you're going to see kind of like you're wondering, well, how does this Purple Star thing relate to that? Well, we'll go through that in just a minute. So you're going to get an abbreviated version of an already abbreviated version of a PowerPoint. So I'm not going to go through all these slides, but I'm just going to highlight on the way there. So if somebody were to ask me what is the Purple Star program, this is what it is. We want every military connected youth in Kentucky to receive what they need to succeed. And having worked on a lot of vision statements in my time in state government, I'm pretty proud of that. I work in state government. It's much too short for me to have ever kind of conceived. So we actually worked with our advisory board, of which Steve and Ashley are part. And our mission is to instill a sense of connection and strengthen resilience within our Kentucky military youth. And anytime you talk about strengthening resilience, that there is a prevention component there. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here other than to say that when we talk about military connected youth, we are talking about not only active service members, but veterans, National Guards, Reserve. Basically, we define a military connected youth as any youth in Kentucky that has a parent, a sibling, or someone close to them that is either currently serving or is a veteran. So it's a pretty broad net, right? This is just some of the active duty installations that we have across the state. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. These are just a panorama of our National Guard units. And this is divided out by our regional prevention centers. These are the community mental health centers across the state. And those regional prevention centers are working with our National Guard. Kentucky National Guard is a very active member and participant of the Purple Star program, and they also serve on our advisory board. And this is just a veteran population by county. I include this because people will say, even in our own service provider network, we'll say, well, we don't have a lot of military youth here in Trimble County or in Floyd County or wherever it is. And I say, well, you probably got more than you think you do, right? Because these people, especially if you're National Guard, you don't walk around with a uniform on. You can't tell who is a military connected youth and who's not unless you actually know that family. So we just like to remind people that it's not only in Fort Knox and it's not only in Fort Campbell, this population is all over the state. So we did a focus group with some teens at the kind of outset of this grant, and because we showed them some data and we asked them, what kind of things that it was important for them, what they want folks to know. And so I'm not going to go down through the whole list here, but that is what came out of this focus group. And I think, the thing about community and recognition and responsibility, and they serve too, because when their parent or sometimes both parents are away, very often the older brother or sister will have to step up and take on that role. I don't know how many military connected folks do we have in this room? Okay, so we got quite a few. And if you were in a situation where you ever had a parent deployed, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And so they also think about war a lot differently than their civilian peers, because they could be touched personally by what's going on across the globe in a very real way, in a very personal way. These are some of the a reminder that we have, you know, within the military culture, it's all about resiliency and strength, but there are some stressors and some risk factors there. Deployments. There are families who don't live close to military bases and don't have the kinds of service and the kind of support that you would on a military base. Single parent families, dual military parent families have the possibility of both parents being deployed. And all of these frequent moves and educational changes in high schools and elementary schools. The Department of Defense estimates that if you have parents in the military as a career, that you will probably be involved in, if through your K through 12, you'll probably change schools 8 to 10 times. And so you could imagine the constant, you know, trying to adapt, that takes its toll. You know, that can create some behavioral health challenges, especially if someone who's deployed in your family comes back with PTSD or things like that. That can have an effect, obviously, on the kids. So this is just by those regions where our military connected youth are, and you see clearly there in Pennyroyal area. Again, this is our community mental health center regions. That's where Fort Campbell is, Communicare up there where Fort Knox is, and then over here in Pathways. They have a lot of National Guard over there. So what I want to get to real quickly is this is this is the tie-in with what I do in the substance abuse prevention world. So this data that you see here, and it comes from the Kentucky Incentives for Prevention Survey, which is a state survey that my division administers every 2 years. And in we don't have the original baseline for this was 2014, but we added a question in 2014 to gauge military connection. That had never been on our survey before. And what we found was very eye-opening. First of all, just the sheer number of kids. It was about 40,000, right? And these are kids, these are only the kids, we only survey 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. So there's about 40,000 in those grades that have a military connection according to our definition. And when we started to cross-tabulate and we looked at things like military connection and then peer victimization, for example, and in this bar graph, as you see, the purple line is military connected youth, the gray line is their civilian peers. You see a very pronounced difference in those rates of peer victimization. Peer victimization, things like bullying, being verbally threatened, physically threatened, cyberbullying, all of these things that can happen in the school or just in your own neighborhood. Why does that happen? I think, you know, I spoke to some of that earlier. When you're constantly in transition, you're always the new kid in the school. Unfortunately, that puts you at risk for being bullied. So we know that those kids that have a military connection are at higher risk behavioral health wise. And also, you know, looking at our suicide prevention data, you've got 3 levels here because we actually asked the question whether you have 2 or more military family connected members, 1 or the bottom one there is I don't know. And in every case, you see the more military connections you have, according to this data, the higher at risk you are for things like suicide ideation, suicide plans, and even suicide attempts. This is data. We had never seen that before. We knew that they were at risk. We just we couldn't quantify it until we had this data. When we look at past 30-day drug use, there's what you're seeing there. Again, the same line, the bottom line there, that light one is, those are the kids that say, I'm not aware that I have any military connection. The light purple is, I have at least one family member or someone close to me. And then the darker purple is, yeah, I have 2 military connected family members. And so, yes, I see mouths moving, I see wows, I see ohs. Yeah, this was the same for us because we had never in our prevention program worked closely with military youth, with military adults. It was not one of the community sectors that was designated in any of our federal grants, so we knew we had a lot of work to do. So we did this teen council training. We showed them that data, excuse me. And I'm not going to play this video because it won't play anyway. It's the governor though, and he supports our program. He came out and did a nice little plug. And I'm trying to get past this, but it won't. Yeah, I'm trying to click past this, Steve, but it's stuck. All right, how do I? Oh yeah. Yeah, there we go. Is that going to do it? Yay. Okay. So this Purple Star program I'm talking about, it's not. I wish I could say that we had had the foresight to do this, and it was a Kentucky program. It is not. It originated in Ohio, and we are in touch with the folks in Ohio up there, and they have helped us greatly. But when we started this program in early 2020, actually, yeah, 2020. There were at the time 13 Purple Star states in the United States, and we were the 14th. And this is where it stands today. So it's catching on quite a bit. We look at these are our kind of counties right now where we have Purple Star schools, but we have a lot more that just in the fall round have popped up. So when this snapshot here was taken about 6 months ago, and we had 12 Purple Star schools. And we had our fall application round. We had 14 new applications that were turned in, and all 14 of those applications got accepted. So what does the Purple Star School do? What does it do, and how does it impact the kinds of things that I've been talking about? One of the things that it does, the requirements for this, and these are the national requirements, is in every school they have to designate a military family liaison, okay? And that person is a volunteer, or it's a person that the school principal appoints. Very often, but not always, it is a veteran, so they already have a feel for what's going on. And that military liaison takes a training that we've devised, it's on our website, that gives some of the data that I've shown you, but also gives some cultural understanding of what life in the military is and why this resiliency piece is important. So that's that professional development training you see there in the second box. And then the school, and then that liaison person shares this knowledge, of course, with the other faculty and staff to create an awareness. And then that school does at least one military recognition activity. And that can be what the school kind of decides. We have a broad menu, but they can decide it. Sometimes they'll do something for Veterans Day. They might honor local veterans. They might have veterans come in and talk, or have school assignments around, patriotic subjects or things like that. And then the school will post on their website a resource page for military families. So, and they're local, they're local, and they are state, and they are also federal. Our advisory board, of which Steve and Ashley are a part of that. You got the folks here. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but they help guide us. They came up with the vision and mission statement. They help get the message out through the state, and working through our advisory board, we've made some very significant accomplishments and made connections that we never would have been able to make. For example, we have the base commander or their designees of both Fort Campbell and Fort Knox on the advisory board, and that happened because we had the guy for military affairs who sits in the lieutenant governor's office make those introductions. So things happen when you have the right folks on your advisory board. Okay, and so every school, we do these award ceremonies, and this is obviously, the COVID has been lifted. So these are folks getting, well, actually the one on the over there on outside was during COVID, so folks had masks on, we did it outside. But it gives the school a chance to come together and celebrate. And so this banner goes up in the school, and it's just a chance for that school to recognize, we are a school that serves military connected youth, and it lets the parents, those military family folks, know. And I am about out of time, am I not? Okay, so I'm not going to go any further other than to say that this is from a national report that was done, and it shows some very positive effects. So we know this works. So how would you rate the impact of the Purple Star program on school? Very positive to positive is about 77%. Academic development of military connected youth seems to be better or significantly better in 53% of the Purple Star schools. And the social emotional development of military connected youth at those schools, 57% also say they're significantly better. So this is some actually concrete proof that shows the program is working. We're also working on the state level. We have our own evaluation plan in place once we get a number of schools on board to also gauge those results. What our hope is that we build that resiliency, reduce those risk factors, we'll bring down some of that data that you saw. So I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you about. I have left a little postcard on your table, and if you don't have one, I would be happy to provide one. On the back of that postcard, it's got our website. Please visit us. Please go to our Facebook page and like us. And if military families or military youth are part of your work plan, we would love to talk to you. Thank you.